Hey guys, let's talk some more about saving time on data sufficiency. I'm Mark Lynn, the GMAT mentor, here to make the GMAT make sense. So let's look at this example. Kylie invested some money at R% interest, compounded at the end of the year, and then the same amount of money at R plus 2% interest also compounded. Okay, and we want to know what was that amount of money that she invested. Let's just go ahead and call that amount X, and that's our dollar amount, right? And that's what we want to find out. Okay. So let's go ahead and start actually with statement 2 because it's easier, and often working with an easier statement first can help you solve more efficiently. So if R equals 3, that tells us we have a 3% account and a 5% account, but no idea as to the scale, right? We could have $1,000 accounts or $1 million accounts. We just don't know. So this is not going to be sufficient, and we can move on to statement 1, which tells us at the end of a year, the investment at the R plus 2% rate was $200 more than the investment at the R%. Okay, so first thing to notice here, I think, is that it's the end of 1 year, right? So the compounding has not actually occurred yet. We've simply taken our investment and gotten that percentage off of it, right? In that first year. In the second year, the compounding would apply, but not here. So essentially, the only difference between the two accounts in this first year is the same as if it were simple interest, right? Which is that 2%. So the 2% of X is our difference. And then we also know that the difference is $200, right? So we can simply make an equation. 2% of X equals $200, and that we can solve for X. So that is sufficient, and the answer is A. So a really nice, efficient way to solve this by focusing on the incremental amounts rather than the whole thing. Okay, but let's say you didn't actually see that and you felt like you had to do algebra. So it is doable with algebra. It's longer and slower and not generally recommended, but let me show you just for demonstration purposes. So again, we know that there's no compounding yet, right? Because it's the first year. So the interest is simply going to be the principal times the interest rate. So we know that the higher interest rate account, that's going to earn X times R plus 2 over 100. And then the lower interest rate account will simply be X times R over 100 plus 200. And this is where a lot of people get thrown off, actually, because you can see we have two variables, one equation. It might seem like we don't have enough to solve unless we use statement 2, right, which tells us that R equals 3. So we could put the two statements together, and we have choice C as our answer, right? But that's a trap. Because we don't actually need statement 2, right? We can solve without that. And let's go ahead and demonstrate how that works. So what we want to do is get the variables together so we can work with them. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have X times R plus 2 over 100. And let's subtract the other term. So minus X times R over 100. And that equals 200. And then we can go ahead and factor out X over 100 here. And we're left with R plus 2 minus R, and that equals 200. And you can see here, right, that if we go ahead and just cancel the R's, we're left with only one variable, X. So we will be able to solve here, and it is sufficient. But again, to demonstrate, I'll go through the rest. So we have 2X over 100 equals 200. And that's going to tell us that X equals 10,000 if we work it all the way through. But again, we don't need to know that, right? We don't care that X equals 10,000. We just care that we could solve for it, right? So, again, big picture here, try to avoid calculating more than you need to. And in particular, when you have this kind of setup where there's some kind of incremental amount, right? Rather than focusing on all of it, focus on the incremental piece, and often that's enough to tell you that you can solve. So hopefully that helps the GMAT make sense.